Everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Check. Today, we have a special guest, Betsy Heller. Betsy, thank you for being on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Happy to help out.
So, you and I were talking, you were connected through a mutual acquaintance, and they thought very highly of you. And then we're like, you really need to get Betsy on. She's got a great mindset, great way about how she does her business. And I'd love to have you share some of that. The whole title, or the title is, about overcoming fear through gratitude and faith and humor.
I think if you start with the mindset of if it can't eat you and it can't change your birthday, it's probably going to be okay. And that's the first one. And the second one is, is it really going to matter? Whatever this big problem is it really going to matter 50 years from now? If you answer no to that and no to the first set of questions, then it's probably just a big deal in your mind and not really as big a deal as you're making it out to be. And so it's a little easier to kind of take your own ego out of the way and just try and help others.
Can you repeat those again? So it's one, if it's not going to eat you.
It's not going to eat you or change your birthday.
And then the second one.
And the second one is, if it won't matter 50 years from now, does it really matter?
I heard something like, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't give it more than 5 minutes of your time. Have you heard that before?
I haven't, but it is sort of the correlation with this one. Although it was my husband who first said the 50 years to me, and I'm glad that he picked a really long horizon, because I'm sure if he had said 5 years, I probably would have been like, maybe it will matter in 5 years. 50 for 50. Sure. I was like, no.
Yeah, 50 is a good amount. That's for sure.
Right?
No, absolutely. And so that's kind of your guiding, it's your compass, your guiding, principles, like how you're going to allow something to take up time in your, take up space in your mind, whether it's going to cause fear or anxiety or worry. If it doesn't check any of those, then it basically doesn't in your world, correct?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things that it is a real estate in a lot of ways is a constant battle or will of the mind when you're moving forward and you're self-employed and you're going to go make things happen and help others buy or sell, lease, any of those things. You've got to be on top of your game. And when you're going to do that, you got to get yourself out of the way enough to help others. You have to start with that attitude of being grateful for the opportunity to help these people.
And if, for those who aren't listening, can you give them a little recap of, like, what do you do exactly?
I think it starts with the nighttime routine. Before I head off to bed in the evening, just making sure that I kind of have a wind down routine that includes making sure that the things that are sort of on the top of my mind get added to tomorrow's list and tomorrow's schedule, or delegated to others to do, so they're not on my mind while I'm trying to sleep. Take the dog out, get coffee ready in the morning, do those things. So when I wind down, by the time I wind down at 9:30 or so, I can go to bed, get a good night's sleep, and get up at 5 and start in on the morning routine of reading the Bible and praying, and then doing some exercise. Sometimes that's gardening or household work. That's just trying to do that and keep my heartbeat up while I'm doing it, and then get ready for work and get dressed. So I'm at the office at 7:30. So it's a pretty straightforward routine. It's not a lot of fluff, I guess.
Sure, but I mean, I think there's value. There's a lot of value in it. Obviously, for yourself, you're communicating with your mind and your body, like, hey, this is a routine. This is what we expect to happen every day. And maybe there's a varied form of what you just described, right? Because if something comes up, then you might have to pivot. But if you maintain a routine in the morning, there's power in that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. In the routine, and in knowing that each day is unto itself. That each day you're going to do the best you can, and lay it down at night and start again the next day. So think it also helps to kind of just maybe compartmentalize, because sometimes you'll have either a really big win the day
Hmm.
before or a really bad loss the day before, and it kind of puts it in perspective so you can move forward either way and just focus on that next day.
Just so we're clear, you're just so people know who are listening, like you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're in real estate, you run a successful team, company. So you have a lot of responsibilities, you have a lot of decisions to make every day. Does the routine allow you to focus on, or rather spend your energy on making the decisions that you need to make versus like, if you don't have a routine, you might wake up and be like, all right, what do I have to do between now and 7:30? Because you have a really good routine, you can kind of save your energy towards the bigger picture decisions that you have to make.
That's a piece of it, and I think the other piece is that when you take care of doing those things first thing in the morning, then you don't run out of energy when you get to 2, 3, 4 o'clock, which a lot of times is when you're doing listing presentations or people are getting off work early, and
Right.
you need to really, be on your best, so that you can help them. So you're, again, this is about trying to help them do what they need to do in buying and selling and investing.
Got it. And how does gratitude play in all this for you?
At the end of the day, the gratitude's everything. If you don't stop and look at the day and say, I get to do this, then you
Mm,
stop instead and you say, I've got to do this. But it's the
yes.
get to that makes it fun. It's
Hmm.
the got to that sounds like a drudge, right?
Right.
Trudging the road to happy destiny instead of getting to joyfully walk it.
Yeah, it's about your perspective, right? So if you change, just the language is powerful, right? So changing your language from I have to I get to, is powerful. And I think that that changes your perspective and therefore allows you to look at your situation with the best light possible. If you feel good, you typically do good, right? And you have that process, or you rather you enjoy the process, like you're talking about, right? It's like if you can enjoy the process and the journey, then that's a big win.
It also takes a little bit of the pressure off. You're a little bit It's a little bit easier to look at somebody and say, "Wow, I hope this works," and that you
Right.
you get to express a little more of the emotions as you're going through it when people can see that you're genuinely doing it with them and for them,
And
and that's the focus.
the first time we talked, you inserted a lot of humor into our conversation. I remember very clearly. How do you insert that in your professional world, or maybe is it, do you just kind of keep that in your own inner world as you're dealing with the stresses and the seriousness of business life, or how do you utilize humor?
I am actually sitting here holding a pair of droopy jowls in my one hand. My boxer dog is on his pet
Mm,
bed next to me, and whenever I'm feeling inspired about being having a bit more of a sense of humor, it's just really hard not to look at him.
sure. Yeah. Dogs are great for that, aren't they?
Dogs are great for that. They definitely put into perspective that you're taking things way too seriously.
Right. Yeah, just run around your house chasing your tail. That's fun. That's
Yep,
what my
yep.
dog used to do.
No, this guy will imitate Chewbacca. He's a talking my talking dog, which is good. Everybody should have a dog that talks back to them.
What's very interesting, a side note, but my dog, who recently passed away, but he was my buddy. Been through it all with him, and I spent a lot of the time training him. I put in a lot of effort and time training him, and super well behaved dog, best dog I ever had. And I really feel like dogs are really amazing creatures, and maybe that's why they're the backward spelling of God, right? They're just so there, present. They remind you to enjoy. They're almost like mirrors. When you're training a dog, like if there's something that they're challenged with, like it's typically a reflection of the handler, right? Like if the dog is insecure, it's because the dog hasn't been given the security that he or she needs from the owner, the handler. And so I know this as a side note, but I was just thinking to myself right now, I'm like, man, the dogs not only reflect areas where you may need to improve, but they also pull you into to remembering the things that are really important in life.
Yeah, it's just really hard to take life super seriously when he's doing a goofy face, and he's a boxer. So most of the time he's just doing a goofy face.
And you have one, just one?
Just one. I
Yeah.
can't imagine having more than one boxer. Boxers are known for their sense of humor, and
Mm.
I'm not sure. Even though we did dog training together, I'm fairly certain he has trained me more than I have trained him. But that's okay.
That's beautiful.
I'm
That's
not
beautiful.
I'm not always certain that clients don't do the same, right?
Oh, 100%,
So
right?
maybe the dog was just prepping me for the clients. I don't
Sure.
know. I think it's fun to try and help people realize what we're going to be doing when I take clients out to buy property. I try and explain to them that if going clothes shopping is supposed to be fun, then going out house shopping should be like the best time of your life because it's more
Uh,
expensive.
Totally, right?
And they
Exponentially more
usually
expensive.
laugh and they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way, and we just try and do fun things. It's all about trying to lighten and brighten their days and help them realize that, as my husband would say, we're not getting out of this alive.
Sure.
we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna do the best we can to move forward and have them have a great experience and realize that it really is, for a lot of these people, helping them on that first or second or third step towards creating a family legacy, to building retirement,
Mm.
to helping themselves with their taxes if they're employed and their home is
Mhm.
their only write off. I mean, there's just things that we try and and do that. While it's serious, on the flip side of it, it doesn't mean that we can't have a good time doing it.
Right. Totally. You gotta have a good time, right? Like you said, we're not getting out of here alive. So what's the point of just going through life miserable?
Absolutely. Now, some clients get more of a roller coaster ride than others,
Right.
because some transactions are definitely harder than others.
That leads me to my next question. So we talked about how gratitude plays a role in your life. How does faith play in your life? Like, you know, we talked about humor, gratitude. Let's talk about faith. Like, how's faith different than gratitude, maybe, and how are they kind of maybe the same, or rather, complementary?
It is the ability to believe in something that you can't see, right? That's
Mm,
faith. And I think
yes.
that if you don't start by having faith in something that's bigger than yourself, that there will be, and there certainly have been in my life, obstacles that will bring you to your knees.
Hmm.
And when you're in that place of, okay, now what? If you don't have that faith to rely upon, it's hard to get it at that moment. It's much easier to have developed that faith muscle earlier,
Hmm.
and to be able to move forward and say, because I have this faith, I know I know who holds all things, and
Hmm.
so I can move forward with my life and work in that construct. Because there are times when you can have terrible things happen and there are
Hmm.
still people relying on you.
That's the beauty of being in a position like you. And a parent is a great example. Somebody who has a dependent, or even, like a business, anything like that. I mean, you have to rise above your situation because you have people who are looking to you for guidance and security, and you almost have to put those feelings aside, or not aside, but just kind of feel them in the moment, experience them, but then, what now? You have to rise above them in order to overcome them, right?
Absolutely. But the only way that, at least for me, that I
Hmm.
could do that is by saying, okay, Lord, you've got this because it's way too big
Mm,
for me.
mhm.
it's it's way too
Right,
big for me, and I'll be crushed by it. So I'm just going to hand it to you and trust that it's going to work out and do the things that I'm supposed to do in front of me.
right.
And sometimes, whether it's sickness or whether it's loss or a setback financially or whatever it is that's in front of you at that moment,
Mhm.
a loved one that disappointed you, whatever those things are that you know can knock out anyone. That's when you're able to say, okay, well, if it's not mine, then it's yours, and then move forward on faith.
Yeah, there's beauty in surrender, when it's something, like you said, something bigger than you can tackle, bigger than something you can control, right? There's only so much of your day that you can control, and the rest, yeah, you have to um, have faith. Have faith in God. Leave it to God, or what is that saying? Let go and let God, right? So faith is important, and that's beautiful, to hear how that's played out in your life and continues to play out in your life. I guess just last question, and then we can close up. But is every challenge a bit different in the way that you, let's say, you attempt to overcome, and then you reach a point where you're like, okay, this is much bigger than I can handle, and then you move into a different space, right? Like you move into a different emotion, because you're kind of going through, okay, how can I attack this challenge, and then it's like, whoa, this is way big, and then you kind of move into a surrender mode. Is there a balance there? I mean, maybe it's just always different depending on the situation, but I'm asking the question because it's like, for me, I'm interested in, like, when I'm trying to overcome a challenge, I do my best, but then at some point, like, it's like, okay, like you said, it's bigger than something you can handle on your own.
I guess I'm naturally a problem solver, and so
Hmm.
I'll tend to think about whatever deal I'm doing. I'll be thinking, 5 or 10 steps ahead on the on the chessboard.
Sure.
But there are times when you think in the game of life that you have those 5 or 10 steps ahead, and you think this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and then wow, and then there's something from way out of left field, and you're like, okay, well, that just introduced 20 more variables. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Sure.
And I think that's when I just have to hit my knees and say, okay, it's this is just bigger than me,
Right.
and I'm not going to be able to fix this. But Lord, what the intent is. That the intent is to try and help this person, or the intent is to try and put things back together with whatever's happened in the family, or whatever illness is going on, or whatever, and move forward. And sometimes things don't get put all back together, and it still takes that faith to just move forward and say, you know things might not be whole again, and yet I can still move forward, and I can still find gratitude and a sense of humor, and still move forward with joy.
Hmm.
And I think that's the key in real estate. The buying and selling and investing, helping people in real estate, that part is sort of the easy part. The
Hmm.
hard part is the living life and being able to do it with that mindset.
Is there a mindset or a kind of like a last piece of advice you'd leave someone who's listening, and maybe going through challenges, and um they need to pull away from that somehow?
Um, well, I think for most people, it has to start with with gratitude first, because you kind of have to kind of start making that physical list of things that you're grateful for, no matter how bad things are, and no matter how trite it seems to actually pull out a pencil and paper and start
Mm,
writing things down.
right.
It's the physical act of doing that causes you to change your thinking. And then when the thinking changes, then you have a chance to change the emotions. It never works the other way around. You can't start by saying, I'm emotionally going to be happy today. It just doesn't work that way. You have to
Mhm.
start with the actions and then the thoughts and feelings follow. No matter what it is, no matter whether it's this small thing that makes you irritated and you're trying to overcome it, or whether it's really and truly the big earth shaking, life changing, oh dear Lord, could you please just let this pass from me
Mm.
moments. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. You still have to start with those same things. The gratitude's first, the faith, in my case, in the Lord.
Yeah.
But faith in something that's bigger than yourself. And then at the end of the day, if you can sit back from all of that and go, yeah, like I said, 50 years from now, how important is some of that going to be?
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it won't be the actual things that were important. It will be how you handled them.
Powerful, yes. Oh, totally agree. And it's like you said, you have to kind of go get in motion to overcome that emotion. In motion, you take action. That's it's proven. Like you change your physiology, you change your psychology, and putting a pen to paper is powerful. Well, thank you so much, Betsy. You definitely have uplifted me today and the listeners, I'm sure, and your knowledge and your vulnerability. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing all that.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have to have you back again and appreciate your time.
All right. Take care. Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye bye.